Ladies and gentlemen, the time is now. The place is here, my friends. This is Rob Goulds' version of OTT, which is over the top wrestling for those who didn't know. So I'm going to be your Joe Cabret, your main booker of this version of OTT. So first off, we are kicking things off in January, year one OTT local rumble event live in Dublin. We have the OTT Tag Team Championships on the line in a triple threat match between Matthew Bullis Smith and Renzo Rose as your current champions versus BDE versus Terry Thatcher and Steve Savage, which BDE pick up the win and become your new OTT Tag Team Champions. Then we have a single match to follow that between Cara Noir and Leo Rush. As one of many matches can go, this is right up there with them, and Cara Noir pick up the victory. Then we have a single match, number one contenders for the OTT Women's Championship between Raven Creed and Anita Vaughan, two of Ireland's best to do it. And Anita Vaughan is the one that picks up the victory to become your new number one contender for the OTT Women's Championship. Then we have an OTT European Championship Fatal 4-Way Falls Count Anywhere match between Trent Seven, the current European champion, versus Charlie Sterling, former champion Limo, and Dara Lynch. And it's Trent Seven who picks up the win to retain the OTT European Championship. Then we have the OTT Local Rumble event itself, where 30 entrants participate in this Rumble match, meaning that any group of one or more can enter as one entrant. And the final four entrants that were left were the Kingslayer J, BDE, Raven Creed, and Callum Black. And Raven Creed becomes the first woman to win the OTT Local Rumble, meaning she stamps herself in the main event for the OTT Women's Championship at Scrappermania. Then we follow the OTT Local Rumble up with the After the Rumble show in beautiful Belfast, Northern Ireland at the Europa Hotel, where Raven Creed showed a video package of her becoming the first ever woman winning the Local Rumble, and tells whoever is champion at Scrappermania that it will be them versus her. Then we have the OTT Women's Championship on the line as Mila Grace, that girl, defends her championship against challenger Rio, which Mila Grace picks up the win and retains the Women's Championship. Then we have a singles match between Limo and TJ Charles, which Limo picks up the win. Then we have a triple threat number one contenders for the OTT Championship between Damien Corvin, Steve Savage, and Chainsaw Luke Frehill, and Corvin picks up the win to become your new number one contender. Then we have the OTT World Heavyweight Championship on the line between Big Damo as your current champion versus Man Like the Race, and it's Big Damo who retains his championship. Then we have a six-man tag team match between Duncan Disorderly, Bonesaw, and Kingslayer J versus Santos, Callum Black, and Matthew Bullet Smith as well. And it is Matthew Bullet Smith that picks up the win for his team. But Big Damo comes out to close the show as he normally does, being in Belfast, but only for BDE to attack Damo and leave him in an absolute heap. Then we have Invasion live in Limerick City, and OTT champion Damo comes out and addresses the crowd after being attacked by BDE at the end of the After the Rumble show, and says that he's putting the title on the line in the first ever 2-on-1 handicap match against them later on in the evening in the main event. Then we have a single match between CJ West and Callum Black, which Callum Black picks up the victory. Then we have a tag team match between Carlito and Renzo Rose versus Nathan Murphy Forever and Edward Stewart Tate, the Tate Estate. Then we have the OTT European Championship on the line as Trent Seven puts his championship on the line once again, this time against the Bull CBL. And CBL becomes your new OTT European Champion. Then we have a 6-person tag team elimination match between the weirdos, that is the Sam, Frankie Vendetta and Kat Von K versus Myla Grace, Adam Maxted and Charlie Sterling and it is Team Myla Grace to pick up the win, with Adam Maxted getting the pinfall victory for the team. Then we have a single match, no disqualification, between Steve Savage versus Justy, two big rivalries there in that match, and it's Steve Savage that takes away the win in that match. Then your main event, the first ever OTT World Heavyweight Championship handicap match between Big Damo takes on BDE, Bittersweet Josh and Big Dirty Nikki, and it is Bittersweet Josh who picks up the victory for BDE, and BDE are your first ever joint OTT Tag Team Champions. Then we have Gold Rush Part 1 live in Dublin City, Dublin. Your OTT Women's Championship is on the line as Myla Grace puts her championship on the line against Anita Vaughn, and it is Myla Grace that picks up the win to retain her championship. Then we have the OTT Tag Team Championship between BDE versus The Freshness, and it is BDE that retain their championships. Then we have a triple threat Falls Count Anywhere match between Dara Lynch, Michael May and Matthew Bullet Smith, and it is Dara Lynch that comes away with the victory, still looking to find out who his dad is. And we have the OTT NLW Championship on the line in a fatal 4-way elimination style match between Callum Black as champion versus Ilya Zarkov, Young Dara and Alex Grayson, and it is Callum Black who successfully retains his championship. Then we have the OTT European Championship on the line as CBL puts his newly won championship on the line against Noah Walker, and CBL successfully retains the championship. Then we have the main event, the OTT World Heavyweight Championship on the line in a handicap match between BDE defending their championship against the Snake Sammy D, and it is the Snake Sammy D who picks up the win to become your new OTT World Heavyweight Champion. Then Gold Rush Part 2 in Belfast, the Europa Hotel once again, as we have the OTT NLW Championship on the line in a Belfast brawl, no disqualification, as Callum Black puts his title on the line versus Adam Maxted, and Adam Maxted wins the match as well and becomes your new OTT NLW Championship. But then Callum Black attacks Adam Maxted from behind after the match, injuring him, making Joe Cabray strip Adam Maxted and give the championship back to Callum Black due to an injury, meaning Callum Black is going to be still your OTT NLW champion. Then the OTT European Championship is on the line in a fatal 4-way elimination match as champion CBL puts his title on the line against Michael May, Steve Savage and Charles Crowley, and it is CBL who walks away still your OTT European Champion. Then we have a tag team match between BDE, former OTT champion, then against CJ West and Kian Noonan, and it's BDE who walks away with the win. Then we have a 6-man tag team match between the Sam, Frankie Vendetta, Young Dara versus Jay Steins and The Freshness, and it is Jay Steins, the leader of Gangland, who picks up the win for his team. Then we have the OTT Women's Championship on the line in a table match as Myla Grace puts her title on the line against Emerson Jane, and it is Myla Grace who walks away still that girl and still your OTT Women's Champion. Then we have the first ever OTT Cross Promotional Championship match as Limo goes on against Pac and takes on Chris Connolly to crown the inaugural OTT Cross Promotional Champion. And it's Chris Connolly representing Hard Knocks Pro Wrestling who picks up the victory and becomes your first ever OTT Cross Promotional Champion. Then the main event. It's the OTT World Heavyweight Championship on the line as Sammy D puts his championship on the line against Terry Thatcher. And it's Sammy D who walks away still your OTT World Heavyweight Champion. Then we move on to Scrapper Mania Night 1 in Dublin. We have a Battle Royal to become the inaugural OTT Extreme Champion in an 8-person battle royal. It's Duncan Disorderly versus Be Cool versus TNA's Moose versus TJ Charles versus Steve Savage versus Frankie Vendetta versus Chainsaw Luke Frayhill and versus Alex Grayson. And it's Frankie Vendetta who picks up the win to become your first ever OTT Extreme Champion. Then we have the OTT Tag Team Championship on the line as it's BDE putting their titles on the line against the team of Adam Maxted and Charlie Sterling. And it is Team Adam Maxted and Charlie Sterling who pick up the win to become your new OTT Tag Team Champions. Then we have a triple threat money match as it's LJ Cleary versus Cara Noir versus Robbie X. And it's LJ Cleary that picks up the win in one hell of a match for Scrapper Mania. Then we have the OTT European Championship on the line in a triple threat table match between CBL as champion versus Renzo Rose and versus Axel Tishner. And it is CBL that picks up the win to retain the OTT European Championship. Then in the preview to the main event, we have the OTT Championship in a last man standing match between Sammy D as champion taking on Terry Thatcher, and it's Sammy D who retains the OTT Championship. Then we have the OTT Women's Championship in a fatal 4-way elimination match. Myla Grace puts her title on the line against the number 1 contender Anita Vaughn, and also against Corey Zero, and also against a surprise opponent that nobody thought would step foot in an OTT ring. It is WWE's own Becky Lynch. And Becky Lynch walks away as your new OTT Women's Champion in the main event of Scrapper Mania. Then, at the fallout of Scrapper Mania in Belfast at the Europa Hotel, we have the OTT Tag Team Champions on the line as Adam Max and Charlie Sterling put their titles on the line against Sanity, Axel Fishner and Eric Young. And it's Charlie Sterling who picks up the victory to retain the titles for Adam Maxted and Charlie Sterling. Then we have Becky Lynch who comes out to a standing ovation but tells the crowd that she can't stand Belfast and can't wait to see her hot husband Seth Rollins. Then Burn It Down plays and Seth comes out and issues an open challenge to anyone in the locker room, and out comes LJ Cleary with Lyra Valkyria as well to set up a singles match that no one ever thought was going to come ever in an OTT ring. Seth Rollins with new OTT Women's Champion Becky Lynch taking on LJ Cleary with Lyra Valkyria, and it is Seth Rollins who picks up the victory in Belfast at Fallout in one hell of a match. Then we have the OTT European Championship on the line in a triple threat ladder match as CBL puts his title on the line once again against Charles Crowley and Robbie X, and it's CBL who once again retains the OTT European Championship. Then we have the OTT NLW Championship on the line as Callum Black puts his title on the line against Bonesaw, and it's Bonesaw who walks away the win and becomes your new OTT NLW champion. Then we have a 6-person tag team match as the Sam, Frankie Vendetta and Kat Von K, the Weirdos, take on BDE and Corey Zero, in which Team Weirdos pick up the victory in that match. Then we have the main event of the evening. The OTT World Heavyweight Championship is on the line as Sammy D the Snake puts his title on the line against the dangerous Damien Corvin. And it is Damien Corvin who picks up the win to become your new OTT World Heavyweight Champion. Then on Revenge in Dublin, we have Corvin coming out with the Machiavelli and celebrates a long road to become the OTT World Champion and says he's ready to fight. And out comes Sammy D and issues a rematch which gets granted and will main event the evening. Then we have the OTT European Championship to kick things off as CBL puts his title on the line against Charles Crowley, and it's Charles Crowley who walks away your new OTT European Champion. Then we have the OTT Tag Team Championships on the line in a triple threat match between Adam Maxted and Charlie Sterling as champions, taking on the team of Duncan Disorderly and Bonesaw, as well as the Freshness and Fabio and Martin Steers. And it is Adam Maxted and Charlie Sterling who retain their tag team championships. Then we have a tag team number 1 contenders match as Mecca and Kuro take on the team of Frankie Vendetta and the Sam of the Weirdos, and it is the Weirdos that pick up the surprise win against the team of Mecca and Kuro to become your number 1 contenders for the OTT Tag Team Championships. Then we have the OTT Women's Championship on the line as returning champion Becky Lynch puts her title on the line against Anita Vaughn, and it is Anita Vaughn that picks up the win to become your new OTT Women's Champion. Then we have the OTT Cross Promotional Championship on the line as Chris Connolly of Hard Knocks Pro Wrestling defends his championship against Titanic Zone Rocky Star, and it is Rocky Star who walks away to become the new OTT Cross Promotional Champion. Then we have the OTT World Heavyweight Championship on the line in a 2 out of 3 falls match between champion Corvin and challenger Sammy D. Both of them win 1 fall each, and then both are counted out as Sammy D is being held by Callum Black, meaning that Corvin retains the championship as well. Then we have the first King and Queen of the Ring as well in Dublin, Ireland. First night opens with the Queen of the Ring first round match between Raven Creed versus Myla Grace, which Raven Creed picks up the win. Then a King of the Ring qualifier round 1 match, Lemo versus Callum Black, and Callum Black picks up the win in that. Then we have Queen of the Ring match number 2 as Kat Von Cade takes on Lizzie Evil, and Lizzie Evil picks up the win and moves on to the next round. Then Santos versus Terry Thatcher, and Terry Thatcher picks up the win and moves on to the next round of the men's King of the Ring. Then Harley Hudson versus Session Moth Martina, and Harley Hudson moves on to the next round. Then we have Michael May versus the Sam, and it's Michael May who moves on in the men's tournament. Then we have Amira Blair versus Rio to conclude the Queen of the Ring round 1 for the women's, and it's Amira Blair who picks up that victory. Then we have Be Cool versus Steve Savage, and Steve Savage picks up the win in the men's round. And we have the first Queen of the Ring semi-final between Raven Creed and Lizzie Evo, and it's Raven Creed who picks up the win and moves on to the final in Belfast the following night. Then we have Callum Black versus Terry Thatcher in the first men's semi-final, with Terry Thatcher picking up the win, moving on to Belfast's final the next night as well. Then you've got Harley Hudson versus Amira Blair, and it's Amira Blair who picks up the win, and she will face Raven Creed in the final of the Queen of the Ring. Then we will have Michael May versus Steve Savage, and Steve Savage picks up the win, and it is Steve Savage versus Terry Thatcher in the King of the Ring tournament finals. Then we have the King and Queen of the Ring finals in Belfast, kicking things off with a tag team match between Lizzie Evo and Kat Von Gay versus Myla Grace and Harley Hudson, with Harley Hudson picking up the win for their team. Then we have the OTT Tag Team Championships on the line as Adam Maxted and Charlie Sterling put their tag team titles on the line against the Saviors of Destiny, Owen Richards and Andy Steele. And it is the Saviors who walk away your new OTT Tag Team Champions. Then we have the OTT European Championship on the line in a triple threat match as Charles Crowley puts his title on the line versus the Sam and Michael May, and it's Michael May who walks away your new OTT European Champion. Then we have the Queen of the Ring final itself, Raven Creed versus Amira Blair, with the winner gaining a contract to take on the Women's Champion or the European Champion, no matter depending on what championship she goes for And it's Amira Blair who picks up the win to become Queen of the Ring. Then we have a 6-man tag team match between Limo, Mecca, and Kuro versus Santos, Callum Black, and Chris Connolly, with Chris Connolly picking up the win for their team. Then we have the King of the Ring final itself. Again, Terry Thatcher versus Steve Savage. Again, the same as the women's match. If whoever wins this match gets a chance within a year to use their contract to become either OTT champion or potential European champion as well. And it's Terry Thatcher who wins the match as well. Then we have the OTT World Heavyweight Championship on the line between Corbin and Mark Haskins, and Corbin retains the OTT Championship as well. But Terry Thatcher, straight after winning his King of the Ring match, uses his King of the Ring contract and cashes in on Corbin and becomes your new OTT World Heavyweight Champion. Then at the Summer Bash in Dublin, you have Steve Savage, Raven Creed request that Terry Thatcher comes out and celebrates winning the OTT title and wants to reform the detachment. And Terry says he will deliver the answer in Belfast. So 6-man tag team match kicks off the Summer Bash as Callum Black, Santos, and Matthew Bullet Smith of the Machiavelli take on Renzo Rose, the Sam, and Frankie Vendetta. And it is team the Machiavelli who pick up the win in that match. Then we find out that Joe Cabret came out after the match and told Frankie that he has to put his title, the Extreme Championship, on the line straight after. And he is told that he is facing Alex Grayson, the Eternal One. And it's Alex Grayson who picks up the win to become your new OTT Extreme Champion. Then we have a fatal 4-way for the number 1 contenders for the OTT World Heavyweight Championship as Big Damo takes on Sammy D versus Corbin versus O'Mari. And it is O'Mari who picks up the win to become your new OTT World Heavyweight Champion number 1 contender. Then we have the OTT NLW Championship on the line as Bonesaw takes on Chainsaw Luke Frehill, with Bonesaw retaining that championship. Then we have the Cross Promotional Championship on the line as Rocky Star puts his title on the line versus Luther Valentine, and Rocky Star retains that championship. Then we have a mixed tag team match as Steve Savage and Raven Creed take on Michael May and Amira Blair in the main event, with Raven Creed picking up the win in that match. Then Terry Thatcher, who joins the announced team prior to the match, and as Steve Savage and Raven Creed walk backstage, Terry Thatcher stands up and looks towards him and mouths the words, "Tomorrow." Meaning what exactly? Leaving people hanging. Then we have the OTT Tag Team Championships on the line at the Summer Bash in Belfast as the Saviors of Destiny put their titles on the line against the number 1 contenders, the Weirdos, Frankie Vendetta, and the Sam, in which they retain their championships. Then we have a fatal 4-way elimination match between Emerson Jane, Rio, Kat Von K, and Lucia Lee, and it is Rio who takes away the win. Then we have the OTT Cross Promotional Championship on the line once again as Titanic's own Rocky Star puts his title on the line against Sage Valentine, and it is Rocky Star who picks up the win and retains the championship. Then we have a triple threat match between Santos, Luke Jacobs, and Scotty Davis, and it's Scotty Davis who picks up the win in that match. Then we have the OTT Women's Championship on the line as Anita Vaughn puts her championship on the line versus Lizzie Evo, and it is Anita Vaughn who retains the championship. And Amira comes to the ringside to watch the match, and after Anita retains, she warns Anita that she can cash in her Queen of the Ring contract anytime within the year. And before the main event between Steve Savage and Raven Creed make their way to the ring and set a commentary, as the World Heavyweight Championship is on the line between Terry Thatcher and Noah Walker. And Terry Thatcher successfully retains against long-term rival Noah Walker. And Steve Savage and Raven Creed come into the ring as they lift Noah, and all four embrace in a hug of reformation of the detachment. So the detachment have reformed as Noah Walker, Steve Savage, Raven Creed, and your OTT World Champion, Terry Thatcher. And that concludes the Summer Bash in Belfast. Then we have the show Anarchy in Dublin. The OTT Cross Promotional Championship is on the line in a triple threat table match as Rocky Star puts his championship on the line against OTT's Frankie Vendetta and OTT's Ilya Zarkov, and it's Rocky Star who successfully retains that championship. Then we have the OTT Tag Team Championships on the line in a Falls Count Anywhere match as the Saviors of Destiny put their titles on the line against the reformed detachment of Noah Walker and Steve Savage, and it is Team Saviors of Destiny who retain their championships. Then we have an Anarchy Rules match, which is a no disqualification Falls Count Anywhere rules match, as Kane Noonan takes on Luke Frayhill, and it's Luke Frayhill who comes away with the victory. Then we have a fatal four-way elimination no disqualification match between Myla Grace, Lizzie Evo, Rio, and Short Fuse, and it is Short Fuse who takes away the win. Then we have the OTT Extreme Championship on the line in a fatal 5-way 15-minute match, and the last one with the win is champion. So Alex Grayson goes in as champion, takes on Luther Valentine, Scotty Davis, or Scott Malloy as he's known now, TJ Charles, and Grado. And it's Alex Grayson who retains the championship in that scramble match. Then we have the OTT World Heavyweight Championship on the line in an Anarchy Rules no disqualification Falls Count Anywhere match as Terry Thatcher puts his title on the line against O'Mara, and it is Terry Thatcher who retains that championship. Then we have the show at the OTT Comic Con in Northern Ireland as a tag team match kicks things off between Noah Walker and Steve Savage versus The Freshness, with Noah Walker and Steve Savage picking up the win for the detachment. Then we have the OTT European Championship on the line in a triple threat match as Michael May puts his title on the line against Scott Malloy versus Limo, and it is Scott Malloy who picks up the win to become your new OTT European Champion. Then we have a 6-man tag team match between Bonesaw, Duncan Disorderly, and Big Demo, taking on the team of Be Cool, Renzo Rose, and Justy, and it is Bonesaw who takes the loss in that match, with Justy gaining the pinfall over Bonesaw in that 6-man tag team match. Then we have the OTT Cross Promotional Championship on the line in a fatal 4-way elimination match between Titanic's own Rocky Star as champion versus TJ Charles representing OTT and representing Fight Factory, OTT, and Hard Knocks is CBL. And surprise, surprise, someone who is over for the actual Comic-Con itself, who just happened to be there, wanted to be in part of this match, is none other than Carlito. And it's Carlito who picks up the win to become your new OTT Cross Promotional Champion. Then we have the OTT Women's Championship on the line as Anita Vaughn takes on that girl Marla Grace in her hometown, and it's Anita Vaughn who picks up the win to retain the OTT Women's Championship. Then we have the OTT World Heavyweight Championship in a triple threat match as Terry Thatcher puts his title on the line versus Adam Maxted and Santos, and it's Santos who picks up the win to become your new OTT World Heavyweight Champion. Then we have the OTT Anniversary Show in Dublin. Kicking things off is Anita Vaughn versus Amira Blair for the OTT Women's Championship, and it is Anita Vaughn who picks up the win and still remains your OTT Women's Champion. Then we have a 6-man tag team match, which is a 6-3-1 match, which means it starts off as a 6-man tag match. Whoever picks up the winning fall turns into a triple threat, and whoever wins that one then picks up the win in that match. So we have Scott Malloy, Limo, and Karen Noir versus Michael May, Robbie X, and Connor Mills. And Connor Mills picks up the win for his team, meaning that it's Michael May versus Robbie X versus Connor Mills in a triple threat match, which Connor Mills picks up the win in that match as well. Then we have the OTT Tag Team Championships on the line as the Saviors of Destiny put their titles on the line against Team Mecha and Kuro, and it is Mecha and Kuro who pick up the win to become your new OTT Tag Team Champions. Then we have the Fatal 4-Way No Disqualification match as Sammy D takes on Leon Slater, Omari, and Callum Black, and Sammy D walks away the winner of that match. Then we have another tag team match as Renzo Rose and Ilya Zarkov take on the team of the Freshness, and it's the Freshness who pick up the win in that match. Then we have the World Heavyweight Championship on the line as newly crowned champion Santos takes on Be Cool, and it's Santos who once again retains that championship. Then we move on to Belfast Anniversary Show. Single match between Michael May versus Robbie X in one hell of a match, which Robbie X takes away the win. Then we have a triple threat match between Omari, Cian Noonan, and Nathan Murphy Forever, with Edward Stewart Tate at ringside, of course. And it's Nathan Murphy Forever that picks away the win in that match. Then we have the OTT Cross Promotional Championship on the line in a Fatal 4-Way Elimination match as Carlito puts his title on the line against Trent Seven, Luke Jacobs, and Darrell Lynch. And it is Darrell Lynch, surprisingly, who picks up the win to become your new OTT Cross Promotional Champion. Then we have a triple threat match between the Kingslayer J versus Sammy D versus Be Cool, and it's Sammy D again who walks away with the win in that match. Then we have the OTT European Championship on the line as Scott Malloy puts his title on the line against Karen Noir, and it's Scott Malloy who picks up the win to retain the OTT European Championship. Then we have a tag team match between former champions BDE versus former champions the Saviors of Destiny, and it's BDE that take away the win. And then our match before the main event, the OTT World Heavyweight Championship is on the line in a triple threat match as Santos puts his title on the line versus Bonesaw and Steve Savage, with Santos retaining once again in that match. Then we have a 6-man ladder match for the briefcase as Limo, TJ Charles, Adam Maxted, Luke Frahill, Fabio, and Frankie Vendetta all compete for the opportunity of a lifetime to see who wins a contract to potentially cash in on either the OTT Championship or the OTT European Championship. But it's TJ Charles who picks up that briefcase and picks up the win, and he will grab that opportunity within the year. Then we have OTT Existence in Dublin. 8-man tag team match elimination style. Limo, CBL, Frankie Vendetta, and the Sam taking on Zarkov, Michael May, TJ Charles, and Jack Morris. And it is Team Jack Morris that take away the win in that match. Then we have a triple threat match as well. We've got Chris Connolly versus CJ West versus Man Like the Reese. And it is Man Like the Reese that takes away that win. Then we have the OTT European Championship on the line as Scott Malloy puts his title on the line against Omari, and it is Omari that picks away the win and becomes your new OTT European Champion. Then the OTT Tag Team Championships are on the line as Team Mecha and Kuro put their titles on the line against BDE, and it is Mecha and Kuro who pick up the win to retain their OTT Tag Team titles. Then the OTT World Heavyweight Championship is on the line between as Santos puts it on the line against Trent Seven, and Santos successfully retains the championship. Then we have an 8-man tag team match, which gets turned into a 10-man tag team match as Callum Black, Damien Corvin, Matthew Billis-Smith, and Sean Maxer Guinness go to take on the team of Kingslayer J, Be Cool, Adam Maxted, and Charlie Sterling. But just as the match is about to get underway, Mr. Gabray comes out and announces that he is going to make sure that his team walk away the victors, and he comes out and wants to be a part of this match and tells Be Cool, Adam Maxted, Charlie and Jay that they need to find a partner to make this a tag team match of 5-on-5. So who do they call upon to come out? There's only one man who could answer this call, and his man is the Snake, Sammy D. So we've got Callum Black, Corvin, Matthew Bill Smith, Sean Maxter Guinness, and Joe Cabray versus the team of the Kingslayer J, Big Cool, Adam Maxted, Charlie Sterling, and Sammy D, with Sammy D picking up the win and pinning Callum Black in that match. Then at OTT at Year's End, Part 1 in Dublin, we have the Reform Draw come to the ring and tell the crowd that they are back and ready to take down the Machiavelli and challenge Matthew Bill Smith and Sean Maxter Guinness to an Anarchy Rules match, which was then later accepted by the duo. Then we have a triple threat match between Omari, Limo and CBL, which Limo picks up the win. The OTT Cross Promotional Championship is on the line as Darrell Lynch puts his title on the line against Michael May, which Darrell Lynch picks up the win. Then we have the OTT Tag Team titles on the line as champions Mecca and Kuro put their titles on the line against LJ Cleary and Cian Noonan, which Cian Noonan picks up the win and they become the new OTT Tag Team champions. Then we have a 6-person tag team match as the Weirdos, Frankie Vendetta, the Sam and Kat Von K take on the team of BDE and Corey Zero. And it is team the Weirdos to pick up the win in that match. Then we have a tag team Anarchy Rules, no disqualification, falls count anywhere between the team of the Kingslayer and Be Cool representing the Draw versus Matthew Bullet Smith and Sean Maxter Guinness, with Sean Maxter Guinness picking up the win in that match. Then for the main event of the evening, it is the OTT World Heavyweight Championship on the line as Santos puts his title on the line against the Haskins, Mark Haskins himself. And it is Mark Haskins who picks away the win and becomes your new OTT World Heavyweight Champion. Then at World's End in Belfast, we have the OTT Tag Team Champions on the line in a triple threat match as LJ Cleary and Cian Noonan put their titles on the line against Omari and Scott Malloy versus Terry Thatcher and Noah Walker of the Detachment, and it's Team Cleary and Noonan who pick up the victory to retain their titles. Then in a triple threat match, we've got Man Like the Reese versus Be Cool versus Jay Steins, the leader of Gangland, and it is the leader of Gangland, of course, who picks up the victory in that match. Then we have the OT European Championship on the line in a fatal 4-way match as Omari puts his title on the line against Cian Noonan, who is doing double duty against Grado and Ty Claude, and it is Omari who picks up the win to retain that championship. Then we have the OTT Extreme Championship on the line as Alex Grayson puts his title on the line in a triple threat match versus Luther Valentine of Titanic Wrestling versus Jack Morris, and it is Jack Morris who takes away the win and becomes your new OTT Extreme Champion. Then we have OTT NLW Championship on the line as Bonesaw puts his title on the line against John McCann, and it's Bonesaw who picks up the win in that match. Then we have the 6-woman ladder match for the briefcase to see who gets an opportunity at a contract for the OTT Women's Champion or the OTT Women's European Championship. So you have Ray Leverkusen versus Emerson Jane versus Danny Luna versus Lana Austin versus Angel Hayes versus Lizzie Evo, and it's Emerson Jane who picks up the win to become the briefcase holder. Then we have the OTT Women's Championship on the line as Amira Blair puts her title on the line against Raven Creed, and Amira Blair retains the title. Then we have the main event for the World Heavyweight Championship as Mark Haskins defends against Adam Maxted, and Adam Maxted becomes your new OTT World Heavyweight Champion, and that ends year one. We will be back very soon with year two.